There comes a moment in life when you finally become aware of how exhausting it is to chase approval, attention, and validation. You find yourself giving more than you receive, explaining yourself too often, and adjusting your behavior just to be accepted. At first it feels like effort, like determination, like proving your value, but over time it drains you. Machiavelli understood a difficult truth about human nature long before modern psychology named it. The more you chase, the less you are respected. When people sense neediness, they pull away. When they sense inner certainty, they lean in. Self-worth begins the instant you decide that your value is not dependent on how others treat you. It is an internal decision, not an external reward. You stop waiting for permission to feel confident. You stop measuring your worth by attention, responses, or praise. Instead, you begin to live as if your value is already established. This shift changes the way you speak, the way you walk, and the way you show up in the world. You no longer perform for acceptance. You act from identity. Machiavelli observed that human behavior is deeply influenced by perception. People respond not to words alone, but to energy, presence, and consistency. When you chase, you communicate uncertainty, even if unintentionally. You show that your sense of worth is negotiable. But when you stop chasing, you send a different signal. You show that your time and energy are valuable, that you choose where they go, and that you are not afraid of walking away. This does not mean becoming arrogant or emotionally distant. It means becoming grounded. It means understanding that not every opportunity deserves your effort, and not every person deserves your access. When you stop chasing, you regain control of your attention. You become selective. You move with intention rather than urgency. This calm self-possession is what people often mistake for confidence, but it is actually self-respect. This is where alignment begins. Life responds to the standards you set for yourself. When you stop forcing outcomes, things either meet you naturally or fall away. You no longer chase people who do not choose you. You no longer beg for space, time, or recognition. You walk away from what drains you without resentment, because you trust that what truly belongs to you will not require self-betrayal. Machiavelli understood that power often lies in restraint. The ability to pause, to wait, and to remain unmoved gives you leverage over your own life. When you stop chasing, you stop leaking energy. That energy returns to you as clarity, stability, and strength. This quiet shift changes everything. It is not loud or dramatic, but it is decisive. The moment you stop chasing is the moment you begin to be taken seriously by others and by yourself. Machiavelli taught that real control begins with self-control. The moment you stop reacting emotionally to every situation, you gain an advantage that most people never develop. Chasing is a reaction. It comes from urgency, fear of loss, and the need for reassurance. When you pause instead of pursuing, you move from reaction into observation. Observation creates clarity. Clarity gives you power over your choices, rather than letting circumstances control you. When you are always chasing, you are easy to predict. Your emotions lead your actions, and others can sense it. Machiavelli understood that predictability makes a person vulnerable. But when you become centered, when you no longer rush to respond or explain yourself, you create uncertainty in the best possible way. People do not know how to manipulate someone who is emotionally stable and self-directed. Your calm becomes your authority. Stopping the chase also means ending the habit of over-explaining. You no longer feel the need to justify your boundaries, your decisions, or your silence. You understand that explanations given to the wrong people only weaken your position. Silence, when chosen consciously, becomes a form of strength. It signals confidence, not confusion. It shows that you trust your judgment enough not to seek constant validation. Life begins to align because you are no longer operating from fear. Fear drives people to cling to situations that drain them. It convinces them to accept disrespect, inconsistency, or uncertainty, just to avoid being alone or starting over. When fear loosens its grip, discernment takes its place. You start to see situations clearly. You recognize when effort is one-sided. You notice when your energy is not being matched, and instead of chasing harder, you step back. Machiavelli also understood a subtle truth about human psychology. Respect often grows in space, not in constant availability. When you are always present, always accommodating, your value becomes invisible. People rarely appreciate what is endlessly accessible. But when you create distance, not out of manipulation but out of self-respect, others begin to feel the absence. They reflect, they reassess, they recognize the weight of what they took for granted. This shift changes the way you are treated in every area of life. In relationships, balance replaces imbalance. In work, your contributions gain clarity and recognition. In conversations, your words carry more impact because you no longer waste them. You do not speak to be liked, you speak with purpose. Machiavelli's lesson is not about controlling others, it is about mastering yourself. When you stop chasing, you remove desperation from your actions. You move from need to choice, from anxiety to confidence, from reaction to intention. Life responds to this shift because you are no longer asking to be valued. You are demonstrating it through your presence, your boundaries, and your calm authority. Stopping the chase does not mean becoming cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable. It means becoming rooted in self-respect. You still care deeply, but you no longer abandon yourself to keep others comfortable. You still invest energy, but only where it is reciprocated. This distinction is important because many people confuse self-worth with indifference. Machiavelli's lesson points to something far more powerful than detachment. It points to balance. When you are aligned with your self-worth, your decisions begin to change quietly but decisively. You no longer say yes out of fear of rejection. You no longer stay in situations that require you to shrink. You understand that your presence is a contribution, not something to be earned through sacrifice. As a result, your boundaries become clearer and they feel natural rather than defensive. You also begin to move differently through uncertainty. Instead of rushing to secure outcomes, you allow things to reveal themselves. You wait without anxiety. You listen more than you speak. You observe patterns instead of reacting to moments. This patience is not passive, it is strategic. Machiavelli understood that those who act too quickly often reveal their weakness, while those who can wait reveal confidence in their position. When you stop chasing, you stop negotiating your value. You are no longer trying to convince people to choose you, understand you, or stay. You trust that what is meant for you will not require constant pursuit. This trust changes your emotional posture. You become steady rather than intense, consistent rather than overwhelming. People respond more strongly to this kind of presence because it feels safe and grounded. Machiavelli believed that people are influenced more by consistency than by intensity. Chasing creates spikes of effort followed by exhaustion. Self-worth creates steadiness, and steadiness is what builds credibility. When your actions match your words over time, people begin to take you seriously. Your commitments carry weight. Your absence is noticed. Your presence feels intentional. This is where life begins to shift around you. You may notice that people treat you with more respect, even without you demanding it. Conversations feel more balanced. You are not interrupting or overgiving. You are contributing from a place of choice. Opportunities begin to come to you because your energy signals readiness, not desperation. Most importantly, your relationship with yourself improves. You no longer feel anxious about being overlooked or replaced. You trust your ability to adapt, rebuild, and move forward if something ends. This inner security is the foundation of real confidence. When you stop chasing, you are not losing anything of value. You are reclaiming yourself. And in that reclaiming, life begins to meet you with greater ease and alignment. When you stop chasing, life starts aligning because you are finally aligned with yourself. Your actions, values, and boundaries begin to move in the same direction. There is no longer a split between who you are and how you behave. This inner coherence is powerful. It creates clarity not only within you, but also in how the world responds to you. People sense when someone is grounded, and they adjust their behavior accordingly. Machiavelli believed that the greatest influence comes from mastering oneself rather than attempting to control others. When you know your worth, you no longer fear loss in the same way. You understand that losing what requires you to compromise yourself is not a failure, but a correction. This mindset frees you from clinging. You stop holding on to people, roles, or situations out of fear. Instead, you choose based on alignment. Life begins to simplify. The right people stay without persuasion. The wrong ones drift away without conflict. You no longer need to force connections or explain your standards. Your consistency does the talking. This natural sorting process is not harsh, it is honest. It creates space for relationships and opportunities that are built on mutual respect rather than imbalance. As you embody self-worth, you also stop trying to control outcomes. Control often disguises itself as effort, but beneath it is fear. Fear of uncertainty, fear of not being enough. When you release this fear, you gain something far more valuable than control. You gain trust. Trust in your ability to respond to whatever comes. Trust in your resilience. Trust in your discernment. Machiavelli understood that those who move from inner stability influence their environment effortlessly. You do not need to chase opportunities when your standards are clear. The right ones recognize your value and move toward you. This is not magic or coincidence, it is alignment. When your internal world is steady, your external world reorganizes itself around that stability. You may notice that life feels less chaotic. Decisions become easier. You waste less energy on what does not matter. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself in every room. Your presence speaks for you. Your silence carries weight. Your words are chosen carefully, and because of that, they are respected. The lesson is simple, but it requires discipline. Stop chasing what runs from you. Stop investing where there is no return. Stand firm in who you are without needing applause. Machiavelli's insight reminds us that dignity is not loud, it is consistent. When you embody self-worth, life responds. What belongs to you stays, what does not fades away. And in that space, alignment begins, not as effort, but as a natural consequence of knowing your value.